Hi, my name is Angel. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another reading vlog, another part of me trying to read more of my physical TBR. This time we are doing 24 hours of reading versus 24 hours of reading, which I will explain in a second. But firstly, I just want to say that this book is partly inspired by Kayla at Books and Lala, who is like my favorite booktuber, in case you didn't know. So go and like show her love because she's great. But she posted a video recently doing 24 hours versus 24 hours, and I thought that was a really fun idea because I have been wanting to do another 24-hour readathon. Like, I think that they're really fun. In theory, at least, they're really fun, but I also work full-time, so trying to find the time to stay up for 24 hours and read is really difficult because there are other things that I like to do on my days off instead of staying up for 24 hours and then sleeping the next day. So I feel like this was kind of a fun way to still do a little bit of a 24-hour readathon, but it also allows for a little bit of an experiment to happen, so you can actually, or I can see how much I actually read in 24 hours. So let me explain to you what we are doing. Also, side note, we really don't have the best lighting right now because it's like very rainy and dark outside, so I apologize for that. But the first portion of this video is going to be an actual 24-hour time period, casually, while I am still living my life and doing other things. What can I read during that time period? And then the second portion of the video will be with the timer method, so setting up a timer and having it go every single time that I'm reading until it reaches 24 hours to see that physically in 24 actual hours, how many books can I read? I don't know if that makes sense. You'll get it as the video goes. So today we are doing that casual 24 hours and an actual 24-hour period. How much do I read casually? And it is a work day for me. I'm actually filming this intro after work. If I wanted to be like correct about things, I should have filmed it in the morning and been like, it's 8 a.m. and we're gonna read for the next 24 hours. But I didn't feel like getting up early and filming before work, so we're just starting the intro now. So from 8 a.m. today until 8 a.m. tomorrow. Now that I'm home from work, this is when most of my reading time is done anyways, is in the evenings. So I did actually, yesterday I started the book because I knew, and I probably still won't, but I knew that I likely wasn't going to get through this entire book in the actual 24-hour time period, and that's perfectly fine. So I did cheat a little bit and start it early because I wanted to give myself a little bit of a head start. So the book that I have chosen for the experiment for today, the first 24 hours, is The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. This one I thrifted recently and it's been kind of on my TBR, and I don't know why, it's just been calling to me recently. I feel like I've just been in the mood for like a little bit of fantasy, like a little bit like magical feeling books. Like, I recently read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which gave me like that perfect magical feeling that I really liked. And then I read Una Out of Order, which kind of had sort of plot points that I really enjoyed, of a character kind of being thrown into a situation where she doesn't understand what's happening, but she has to figure it out. And I don't know, this kind of like gave me that vibe, like it would be maybe a little bit of a mixture and just a little bit of what I've been in the mood for recently. So this will be the first read. As I mentioned, I'm only 50 pages in, so I don't really have anything to tell you guys right now. I'm gonna do some more reading, give you guys an update later, and we will see how much of this I can read in just your average 24-hour time period. So I have until 8 a.m. tomorrow. I do work tomorrow though, so I won't be staying up super late, but I will come back and we'll see how far we get into it. This book is about 400 pages, so I don't know how well it's gonna go, but I'll see you guys later. It is now 7:30. I have taken a shower, washed my hair, hence, I don't know, it's doing its own thing. The curls are cute, but whatever. Took a shower, made some dinner, ate some dinner, and then I sat outside for a little bit and read because it was so nice, because it was raining, so nobody was out, so it was like peaceful and quiet except for the sound of the rain, and the cats were on the balcony with me. But now I am back inside because the rain has cleared up. There are now children playing outside, and I figured I should update you on my book. I am 130 pages in now, so I think I can give you a little bit of background and my first impressions of it. So the main character that we are following in here is named Cassie, and we start off the book. She works at a bookstore, and one of the regular customers that comes in every night, he gets a coffee, he goes and sits down and he reads. This older man, he ends up dying while Cassie is working there, and she finds this little brown notebook and takes it home. And well, she finds it and there's a note that says like, Cassie, I want you to have this. So she doesn't just like steal this dead guy's stuff, okay? But she takes it home and she discovers that it is something called the Book of Doors. Basically, the whole idea is that with the Book of Doors, any door is every door. So as long as she pictures like the door that she is trying to go through, she can open up any door nearby and go to that place. So it's a pretty cool item to have. And she starts to discover its magical properties and starts to use it and start to learning a little bit more about how it works. But of course, she then learns that it's a sought after item and that there is this dark underground world of like book collectors and all kinds of crazy magic books, and she starts to realize that she is in danger for possessing the Book of Doors. That's really all I'm going to say about the plot. There really hasn't been much more to the book than that so far. It's not quite giving me that like magical, whimsical, like fun feeling that I thought it would, or that I was like hoping for, or that I'm seeking right now. I wanted to see her like using this book a lot and going to a lot of different places, and she has been using the book a lot, but like she goes to like the same places. Like she goes to Italy because she went on vacation to Italy, and then while she's in Italy she's telling us about this vacation she took, and I'm like, okay, like I don't care, do something fun. Like yeah, that's fun, but like do something new, do something exciting. Like she discovers that she can go to a door even if she hasn't physically been to that place before, and then she ends up going to Egypt, and then I'm like, okay, cool, she's gonna explore Egypt, and then she's like, no, I'm out, and then just goes to the next place, and then the next place, and the next place. So like she is hopping around a lot, which I was expecting, but like I want a little bit more from those scenes. Like I want to see her exploring and discovering new places, and I guess that's not really like the intention of the book or the focus of the book, but that's just what I wanted it to be. But now we are getting more into the plot where she has been found by this man who knows of the Book of Doors and is trying to warn her and keep her safe because he knows that she's in danger. And then there are a couple other like perspectives that we are hopping around in of other people that know of the Book of Doors. They want to get their hands on it. People are using it for not good intentions, and that's pretty much what the story's been so far. I am intrigued, but I just wanted to pick up and get a little bit more exciting because so far it feels a little bit lackluster in terms of like when you pick up a fantasy that you're expecting to be magical and fun. It's just not quite that right now. Hopefully we'll get more in that direction and more things will start to happen. I don't really know where we're gonna go from here, but I will keep you guys updated as I keep reading tonight because I don't have any other plans, just to read. So it is now the next day. I am home from work. The 24-hour time period has ended, and I ended up getting to about page 270 yesterday before I went to bed, When I started, I was already 50 pages in, which means that I was able to read 220 pages in just the average 24 hours while I am still working and doing other things at home. I feel like that's pretty good, about average. Honestly, probably a little bit more than I normally do in a day. I got off work a little bit earlier and I had less things to do after work, which meant I had more time to read in the evening. But usually I would say like between 100 and 200 pages is kind of normal for me during the week. So that, I don't know, the results were, I guess, what I expected. I will say I'm still, what page am I on now? Because I read a little bit earlier. I'm now on page 315. I will say there have been some new elements introduced with the Book of Doors, the book within the book. And they are things that I'm really enjoying. It is getting more like fun and kind of more of what I was like seeking from the book, but it's also like darker than I thought. Like there are some death scenes in here that are so brutal and graphic, and I'm like kind of loving it. So my enjoyment has increased with this one. For the sake of completion, after I finish the book, I will come back and give you guys my final thoughts and my final review because I don't want to just leave you hanging. But the first part of the 24-hour experimentation is over, so I'll give you guys my final update on this, and then we will start the second part of reading for 24 hours. I have now finished the Book of Doors, and I really loved it. I think I'm between 4 or 4.5 stars because it did end up having like everything that I was looking for when I first picked it up, and I feel like even a little bit more than that. Like I said, it gets pretty dark and there are some pretty graphic death scenes in here that I really enjoyed, and I like the way that it explored like evil and evil things, and then also the way that it played with time and jumping around with the Book of Doors, and then also learning about the magic and all of the other magical books that exist in this world was so interesting to see like what they do and how they're used. I really liked the characters that we're following, and I just really enjoyed the story. I loved the way that it wrapped up at the end, and just the way that everything is tied together and connected throughout the story, because like I said, it does play with time and it plays with magic, and then also these like magical doors that you can go through, and I really liked that. The only reason it's not a 5-star is because I feel like there were some flaws with the writing, like certain words used that just felt awkward in the places that they were used in. Some of the dialogue was a little bit strange as well. There's also like, I don't know, like I kind of felt this way pretty early on, that I felt like some of the words were a little bit awkward and some of the writing was a little bit, I don't know, I really don't know a better word for it than just like awkward. Like yes, it makes sense, but like it doesn't sound the greatest, it doesn't flow very well. But even towards the end, like there's this quote here that says, "Look at the colors, so bright and colorful." And like he literally just described colors as being colorful, which is weird. There was also this other point that sounded weird to me, like when you read it. The main character, Cassie, is talking about the books. She says, "with her books." Because Cassie knew now that the books were hers. The books were hers. And I'm like, okay, we get it. You said that 3 times. Like, do we need 3 different sentences, like, saying the same thing? I don't know. There were a few moments like that, and I was like, we get it. Okay, we get it. But other than that, like, the actual story of it and the way the story progressed and unfolded, the way that it wrapped up, I really enjoyed, and a lot of the different elements in here with the magic were really fun to follow, and everything that I was hoping it would be. So 4 or 4.5 stars, subtracting just a little bit because I wasn't a big fan of the actual writing. So now let's come over to my physical TBR because we are starting the next phase of the 24-hour reading experiment, where I will be setting up a timer for 24 hours. I'm going to have that timer running at any point that I'm reading, pausing it when I'm not reading, and we will see exactly how many books I can read in a physical 24-hour time span. I don't know words, but I just wanted to look at my physical TBR and see what is kind of high on my radar for this. So here's what I'm thinking right now. Kill for me, kill for you, because this is on my 2025 TBR, so ideally I would like to get to this one. Now these are just options. I'm not saying I'm gonna get to any of these, but that is one. Another one that's really been calling to me is Blood on Her Tongue, because I've had my eye on this for a while. Like, I've been really intrigued by this book. I just recently thrifted it and I feel like it would be a fun read, get a little bit of horror. Also, part of me wants to pick up this one, We Are All the Same in the Dark. For some reason, I don't know, it just seems like a short, kind of quick thriller that I could probably get through pretty easily. And I feel like that might be kind of the vibe I'm looking for. Also, I think this is the only one that I'm going to say, oh my god, hello, if I could get it out, that I'm going to say I will most likely be reading in this video, Killer on the Road by Stephen Graham Jones. This edition obviously is both The Babysitter Lives and Killer on the Road. I've already read The Babysitter Lives, so if we go through where the book is actually split, Killer on the Road is, oh my god, there's like 10 pages of acknowledgements. 240 pages for Killer on the Road. So it is shorter than what it actually looks like in the physical thing. So this is the only thing I'm going to commit to fully, but those are kind of the other ones that are like top of mind for me right now. So without further ado, I'm gonna get, I don't know where my phone is right now, but I'm gonna get my phone, I'm gonna set up our timer and start reading. I don't know if you can see this, but it says I have 19 hours and 41 minutes left, so I am a little over 4 hours in, and I have finished, oh my god, I put it so far away, I have finished the first book. I asked my boyfriend, I was between reading Killer on the Road or Blood on Her Tongue, and so I asked my boyfriend and he said Killer on the Road, and I was kind of happy about that, so I just finished it. I really enjoyed this. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite Stephen Graham Jones book, but I still loved it. First of all, it has like a fantastic prologue, like such an insane way to kick off the book with that first chapter. I think I'm actually gonna go back and reread it again because it was just like so good. Like the dialogue just flowed so well. Everything that happened in here literally had me like gasping. I was like, wait, what's happening? I just got into this. What is going on? I swear the cats are like so chill, so calm until I start filming, and then they just start going crazy. So in Killer on the Road, we are following 18-year-old Harper, and she gets in this fight with her mom, like this crazy big fight, and she ends up leaving, and she is just basically trying to hitchhike her way across Wyoming and run away from home. But her friends end up seeing her there. 2 of her friends that were not supposed to be in town coincidentally were in town, and they see her trying to hitchhike and they pick her up. They also have her ex-boyfriend with them, and they tell her like, you know, whatever, if you want to run away, like we'll take you wherever, but we're not gonna let you hitchhike in the middle of the night with nothing by yourself, because that's crazy. And then they end up in this chase, this kind of like cat and mouse type of game with a killer on the road, but he is not any ordinary killer. Like, he's not just a serial killer that targets people on the interstate. Like, there's something else going on with him, and that is kind of like revealed a little bit in that first like prologue chapter, but I don't want to say anything because I want you guys to be shocked like I was. This was very, very action-packed, very, very fast-paced, but still kept on theme with a lot of things that Stephen Graham Jones writes about. It also like focused a lot on family and friendship and relationships and protecting those that you love, but it was also wild and unhinged, and I really loved it. I had such a fun time reading this. It just, like I said, it just didn't hit the same as like some of my 5 stars from him, but still really enjoyed, still would highly recommend, and I'm so glad that I read this and I own this now. So next I'll have to reread The Babysitter Lives at some point because that one's fantastic. But this one worked very well for me. So with a little bit under 20 hours left on the timer, I have to figure out what I'm going to be reading next. Also, side note, it's like so difficult for me to remember to actually have the timer going when I'm reading, because like when I get home from work and I settle down for the evening and I'm ready to read, like my phone's in the other room. Like I try not to keep this near me. And so like having to actually have it close by and like think about it while I'm reading or while I'm trying to read is been a little bit difficult to remember. But I'm trying my best. I now have 17 hours and 58 minutes left on the timer, and I have literally just gotten exactly to page 100 in my next read, which I am putting the dust jacket on. I decided to pick up Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Cavanagh. I just kind of wanted to take a little mini break from reading some horror. I don't know, like I just didn't want to pick up another horror after the last one, and I figured a good thriller, hopefully will be fast-paced and suspenseful, will keep me going and will be a good little bit of a palate cleanser, and it is working so far. I will say, like, it's very readable, it is very captivating. Like, I think this author definitely knows how to hook a reader and then how to keep you invested after that initial hook, because the first few chapters were so good. Like the way that they ended, or just like, I need to just keep reading. So what I knew about this book is that it is about 2 women that meet, and they have both gone through a trauma, and they want to kill the man that is responsible for these things that have happened to them and their families. But it's difficult for them to do that, obviously, so they end up meeting and having this conversation and deciding, well, I will kill that guy for you and you kill this guy for me. So they're gonna like swap murders, which I guess goes back to an Alfred Hitchcock movie. But that's all I knew before going in. I did not know that there's also a 3rd woman that we are following in here who has also gone through something traumatic. She gets attacked by a man in her home, and we are following her through the aftermath of that, and also the detectives as they are trying to solve this case, because this person had killed 2 other women and nearly killed this woman as well, but she just kind of got lucky that he got spooked and ran off before he could finish the job. So now they're trying to figure out who that is. And then on the side we also have those 2 other female characters that are in this kill for me, kill for you type of plot. So obviously I'm assuming by the end everything's going to be connected and it's going to come together, and I'm very curious to see how it's going to come together. There is one theory that I had about the woman that got assaulted and like who might have done it, and it's still in the back of my head that I think I know who might be responsible for that, but there are a couple of things that are making me question my theory. But so far I am really enjoying it. Like, this is definitely one that I want to keep reading. Like, it's so readable, like so bingeable, very quickly developing, and it's just, like I said, that an easy writing style to keep you wanting more. You finish one chapter and you're like, okay, what's going to happen in the next one? Especially because this is flipping back and forth between perspectives. So we have Ruth, who is the woman that was attacked, that they're trying to find this attacker, and then Amanda is one of the women in the other scheme, the kill for me, kill for you scheme. But then we are also getting, those are the two main perspectives, but we are also getting like other, every now and then, something from a side character. So one from Ruth's husband, we have gotten a chapter from the detective as well, and it's just like all of that combined just keeps you like engaged with the story and like wanting to read. And I'm really, really curious to see where it goes, because I don't know, it feels like it's pretty straightforward, right? Like these two women are gonna try to kill this other person for the other woman, but where is it gonna go from here? Like, I'm so curious to see like how the stories connect, what the twists and the reveals are going to be later on. So unfortunately, I'm going to wind down and get ready for bed because I'm kind of tired today, but I'm going to pick this up tomorrow, and depending on how quickly I'm reading it, because I'm invested in the story, maybe I'll finish it tomorrow. We'll see. I don't know, but a little bit under 18 hours left on the timer now, so I will see you guys later. I'm about to do my nails, but I figured I should give you guys an update because I have finished my book. Let's do a timer check real quick. Just under 15 hours left in the timer now, and this is book number 2, right? I'm filming so many different things that I'm like, I don't even remember what is what. Anyways, I'm using these like Color Street little nail polish things. I don't know if any of you guys have seen these, but I think these ones are really cute. They're like perfect for fall. However, they are pretty old and they're already open, and like once you open them, they don't really last. But my sister told me the hack is to keep them in your freezer. So I've had them in the freezer, but it's probably been like a year, so I don't know really if they're gonna last anymore. But I'm going to kind of buff my nails a little bit. I think I'm gonna give this book 4.5 stars. I'm so happy. I really, really loved it. I feel like this is the kind of thriller that I really, really enjoy. My enjoyment of it reminded me of the way that I felt when I read Look Closer by DeAngelis, where it's just like so messy, so scandalous. You have a lot of different characters and they are all sort of lying to each other, and everybody has secrets and different things that are going on. This just gave me everything that I ever hope for when I pick up a thriller. Like, it was fast paced, it was suspenseful, it took me no time to get into the story, it had twists that took me off guard. This kind of feels like one of those thrillers that you could almost solve as you're going along. I don't know, just for me, like a lot of times when I read thrillers or mysteries, like that's not going through my brain, is trying to, that looks so weird, trying to figure out what's going on. I just kind of like to be taken for a ride. But this one had me like actively like guessing and theorizing, and it still took me off guard at the end. I think the pacing of this was great. I think it was just so fun. Like, it wasn't anything special in terms of like writing or anything like that, but I just really loved the plot and following it, and the different perspectives. Like I said, we are following two main women, but we do get other perspectives now and then, and I was thoroughly interested in all of the perspectives. Sometimes in books where there's a perspective change, you know, there's one that you're not enjoying as much and you're like, oh, I don't want to read this person's chapter again. But like, it was not like that in here. This author, like I said, definitely knows how to keep that suspense and that tension's high, and how to grab your interest and keep you engaged in the story. And safe to say, I will probably be reading something else from Steve Cavanagh at some point in the future. I'm thinking that my next read, I don't know for sure. I'm thinking I will probably pick up Blood on Her Tongue. No promises, that could change, but that is what is on my radar. So right now I'm gonna do my nails and I will see y'all later. We are officially past the halfway mark. I apologize for not being very good about updating this portion of the vlog. It's been really busy and I've been filming a lot of different things at once and I'm getting a little bit lost in the sauce. But we now have 10 hours 25 minutes left on the timer and I have just finished the third book. Since I saw you guys last, I have chosen to read and then I have read Blood on Her Tongue by, I'm assuming it's Johanna van Veen. This is a book that takes place in the 1800s in Netherlands, and I don't know if it's just inspired by or if it's actually a retelling of Dracula, which I still have not read. Don't come for me. But one of the main characters that we are following is named Lucy, and at the beginning of the book she has gotten some strange letters from her twin sister. Are they twins? Yeah, they're twins. What? Asking you as if I'm not the one who just read the book. Anyways, her twin sister Sarah has been sending her some very concerning letters, and then she eventually gets one from Sarah's husband that is begging her to come to their home because Sarah is sick and she needs her twin sister there. They need help taking care of her. So Lucy, of course, drops everything and gets on the next train she can to go to where her sister lives with her husband. And when she's there, we start to learn that there was just the discovery of a bog body on this property, a woman that was killed and her body was thrown in the bog. And Sarah has taken up an obsession with this bog body, and afterwards she has started to become ill and is just acting very out of sorts and very out of character for how everybody knows her. She is just completely different. So Lucy, of course, is there to uncover what is really going on with Sarah. She wants to do everything in her power to save her sister and nurse her back to health. And there's a lot of tension going on because, you know, I mean, back in the 1800s, the men were just not great, right? And there's a lot of pushback from all sides because Sarah is just viewed as a hysterical woman. Lucy, in expressing her concern, is often brushed off and thought to be as a hysterical woman as well, and they're like, don't make us commit, both of you, like, we already have one nutcase in the house, we don't need another one. So there's a lot of tension with that, and Lucy dealing with that as she is really truly trying to get care for her sister. This, I think, definitely has some feminist undertones. You could call this feminist horror. It also has a sapphic relationship in it, which is very interesting to follow, especially with the time period and the language used around that. I thought was really, really interesting. This is definitely a very atmospheric gothic tale. This setting is like perfect. It's so vivid. I feel like the time period, I feel like we're there. I feel like we are in the Netherlands and it is the 1800s. I feel like that came across very, very well in the writing. This is definitely one of those books, like Blood on Her Tongue. There was a lot of blood in here and a lot of gore. A lot of talk of the stench of death and rot. A lot of talk of eyeball squeezing and eyeball jelly, which was interesting to read about, but it was nasty at times and I really quite enjoyed it. I think as an official rating, I am gonna give this 4 stars and I would definitely recommend it, and I feel like it's perfect if you're seeing this now and you can get your hands on this for the fall season or for October, because I feel like just that dark, moody, gothic vibe is like perfect for it. So, like I said, we have 10 hours and 25 minutes left on the timer. I think the next book that I've decided I'm going to start is Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis. I've been meaning to read this one for a long time. I really want to watch the movie, but of course I want to read the book first. So what better time to do it than now? And hopefully the vibes are there with these two. I have my jazz fireplace happening in the background, but I am 208 pages through Bones and All now. I have 8 hours left on the timer and I'm hoping to finish this tonight because I think I have like less than 90 pages in it. so I should be able to. I haven't really done, let me turn this down. I don't know if it's really loud on camera, but like it's loud when I'm sitting here trying to talk and it just sounds weird. Anyways, I haven't really done an update for this because I honestly don't have a lot to say. Really all I knew before going into this is that it's about like this couple or these two people that come together and they are cannibals, and so I kind of thought it was just like a you're following them as they're like killing people type of vibe. And I think that's definitely the case. Like they're definitely cannibals, but not necessarily, because they're not really cannibals by choice. Like this is just kind of something that they do that's in their nature, is they eat people and they can't really control it. So I feel like we are to assume that they are not necessarily human, like there's something else going on here. But the main character that we're following is Marin or Marin. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, but she is 16 years old and she has just always had this thing where she just kind of eats people, and for a long time it was just her and her mom, and every time this would happen, her mom would pack them up and they would move to a new place and start over. And then eventually we get to where we are now, where she's 16 years old and her mom decides like she just can't deal with this anymore and just leaves Marin on her own. And then she ends up meeting up with this guy. His name is Lee, and they have this thing in common. Like they both eat people and they both kind of like didn't know that there were other beings like them, that there were other people that also dealt with this. So they kind of bond over that and they spend some time together. Marin is on this journey to find her father because her father has never been a part of her life, and she believes that now that she knows that there are more people like this out there, that maybe it's hereditary and maybe her father also was one of these people that eats people. So she is trying to go to his hometown and track him down and see if she can get some help from him, get some answers from him, reconnect with him now that she has like nobody in her life to support her. So she is traveling with Lee as they're going there. I have just gotten to the part in the book where she is now meeting up with her father. I don't know, it's interesting, but I wouldn't say I'm like particularly super invested in it. I just feel like I'm kind of along for the ride. I think knowing what the book is about and like the subject matter of it, I think you would expect something more gory and gruesome and bloody and very brutal death scenes, but it's really not. Like anytime there's like this consumption happening, it's like off page, and I could definitely see like if you were not paying close attention, or if you were somebody that just like skims your reads, which I don't know, that's like a whole different conversation, but it would be easy to miss when these things are happening because it's just kind of like worked into the story, and it just kind of like goes from she is talking to these people, they're getting physically close to one another, and then the next paragraph is after the fact. And if you're not paying close attention, I think you could miss the fact that this is what is happening. So it's, you don't get those death scenes on page, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I feel like that is probably intentional because it kind of seems like when this happens, something kind of comes over her and she can't really control it. Like she can feel it starting and she knows like, okay, I should probably back up now or something's gonna happen, but it's just too hard for her to pull away from that. And I feel like she kind of just probably loses control of her body when this is happening, and then kind of comes to later on realizing what has happened. So I think it's intentional that that's left out, but I'm also kind of like, I want more. I want to see brutal death scenes. I'm sorry, I want to see people getting eaten. That's just a personal thing. That's, I don't think, the intention of the book. I think the book is just more set out to kind of be a coming of age story about this young girl who is truly alone in the world and has something strange about her, and now she has another person that she can connect to, but that's kind of like a rocky relationship to navigate because things are not perfect. So I'm curious to read what I'm gonna read next when she first interacts with her father. And I don't really know where we're going from here with the rest of the story. Like I said, I don't really feel anything very strongly towards it. I'm just kind of along for the ride, and we'll see what happens. I don't know how this is gonna end. So I am back with some updates now. I have finished Bones and All, and I have started the next book. Let me give you my review on this real quick because I was pretty let down by this. Initially I was like, I think I want to give it 3 stars, but then the more I thought about it, I think it might be more like 2.5 stars because it really was not that good. I know I already gave you guys the rundown of what it was about, and some of the stuff that I found a little bit weird, like first of all, you don't see any of the deaths on page. Everything happens off page. So even though it's like a book about cannibals, like you don't actually get to see anybody eating people. And then it's also never really addressed like how she does this or like what is going on. And I get that that part maybe could be a mystery, is that you don't really know like why she was born this way or like how this started, but it really doesn't go into the logistics of like how it happens. Like I said at the beginning, it starts off, we find out that as like a little toddler she ate her babysitter, but like how does that actually work? We just never know that, and we're never given any other sort of information about like how this works. It was also like pretty boring for most of it. Like I said, I just felt like I was on a ride with these characters. I didn't actually care really about what was going on. It just wasn't very engaging. I did like sort of like the ending, but I just feel like there was not really any substance to this. To me, it just felt like the story didn't really go anywhere. It didn't really do anything. I don't know, I just feel very let down, but I do see people say that they like the movie better than the book, so I still want to watch the movie and see, because even just watching the trailer, you can tell that they have kind of taken a different approach to the story. So hopefully the movie is better, because this was just not at all what I was expecting it to be. I thought it would be more exciting and more gruesome, and it just wasn't really anything. Anyways, I decided for the next book to pick up Upgrade by Blake Crouch, because I've been meaning to read this one for a while. It's probably one of the like oldest ones on my physical TBR, so I think it's good that I'm finally getting to it, because Blake Crouch is an author I enjoy. I really loved Dark Matter when I first read that, and then Recursion, I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. It wasn't totally my favorite. I don't know where this is gonna land in the lead up, because I'm still not really sure how I'm feeling about it. I'm about halfway through now. Side note, I have to show you, I went to the library to pick up some books for October, but they had this little like stand on the desk, and it was like bookmarks made out of like recycled books, and so I picked this one up because I just have to show you this. It has a little frog butt on it, and the front of the frog butt. Look at the little frog butt. So now I have a little frog butt bookmark. Anyways, I have just stopped where we are at part 2, so it's pretty much like exactly halfway through the book. This is about a man. So okay, this kind of takes place in like a future, and it's kind of like dystopian feeling, but it's a little bit weird because they're like, dystopia is kind of like what life is like right now, where they're talking about like AI and climate change and all of this stuff that is just hitting a little bit too close to home, and I don't really like that. But a big thing that has affected people, I guess, in this world is like people that mess with human DNA and like mess with their genomes, and sort of in some cases can be used for biological warfare and releasing certain things that change human DNA. I don't really understand exactly how it all works, but the main character that we're following has been targeted by one of these things, and so his DNA is like slowly changing, but it's kind of making him like superhuman. Like he can think really fast and read really fast. He can focus on 2 things simultaneously. or multiple things simultaneously. Like he has heightened senses, heightened speed, things like that, and it's just kind of turning him superhuman. And obviously he has to figure out like why this is happening to him, why he specifically was targeted, how to stop it before it gets out of hand and is used the wrong ways, if the person that did it to him is trying to do it to a large amount of the population as well. So it's interesting. It's got some things that I like, but it's also got like so much like science and like biological information and like just passages of the text where you're just reading like a string of letters that are like DNA sequences, and I'm like, this literally means nothing to me. It's a little bit hard to follow with like all of the actual technical science stuff that's going on, and so I feel like right now I'm kind of sitting like in the middle with my enjoyment. I'm interested in the story, but I'm not like super duper invested. It's definitely not going to be like as good as Dark Matter to me. It does not feel that way at all, but I feel like that one is just more so about like the actual plot and like tropes in that book, but this one is just a little different. So a big thing has just happened where I ended, so now like I said, we're going into part 2. I don't know what part 2 entails, what we are going to see from here on out. There are a few things that I'm enjoying, a lot of like just the world building, I guess if you want to call it that, or like Blake Crouch will kind of set the scene and give you a feel for what the world is like, but not in a way that's info dumpy. Like he'll just kind of drop like random things in, like for example the main character like orders food for delivery, and the character that he's with is like, oh, that smells really good, did you get real meat? And he's like, yeah, it was worth the 300% upcharge to get the real meat. And I feel like it's just subtle things he throws in there that gives you an idea of like the kind of future that we're living in, and I really like that, although it does kind of scare me a little bit. So to check in with the timer, we have 4 hours and 43 minutes left, so I am going to finish this, and then I think maybe we will have time for a short book, so I'll have to search my TBR for that. But either way, I'm going to finish this, I'll come back, we'll see how much time we have left to work with, and then where we're going to go from there. I am back now. I have finished Upgrade by Blake Crouch. As you guys saw, we went out today. My boyfriend did some fishing while I sat and read, and we walked around, and it was nice. Now we are back home, and I have finished the book. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Honestly, it kind of like dragged a little bit. Like I feel like it went on for slightly too long, and I remember feeling the same way when I read Recursion by him as well. Like it just felt a little bit drawn out, and then there's all these like crazy high intensity action scenes where like people are fighting, and I was like, I really don't care about what is happening right now. Also with like all of the scientific jargon that was happening, it was hard to follow what was going on at times because I just didn't understand it. I also feel like throughout the whole book I never really, sorry, my boyfriend's playing video games over here, if you hear like noises, that's the keyboard. But I never felt really connected to the main character that we're following at any point. Like I feel like Blake Crouch was trying to give him some like emotional depth in the storyline with like his wife and his daughter, and then he also kind of has some like past traumas with his mother and a difficult relationship with his sister, and so I feel like he was trying to build up some emotional depth, but I just really never felt connected to him, so I honestly can't really say that I like cared about what happened to him. But I do think some of like what was explored in here as far as like human genes and the human race, and how people could think that like genetically modifying humans would be good for the future of the species, but honestly like if we're meant to die out, I think we should just die out. I don't think we should be altered to be superhumans and to like continue to exist on the planet. But it was just kind of an interesting like look at that and look at both sides of that argument and how that would really affect people. So I think there were interesting ideas presented. It wasn't my favorite execution. It's probably not going to be a very memorable one, but that was upgrade. So to check in with the timer, I have about 2.5 hours left. So I think that's enough time to finish a short book. I decided to pick up The Seep by Chana Porter because this is, if not the shortest book, it is one of the shortest books that is on my physical TBR. And I've been meaning to read this for a while, and I've had my eye on it throughout like this whole experiment of like, maybe I should read The Seep. Well, maybe next time I'll read The Seep. So now I'm like, okay, I need to just do it. This is, I think, like a sci-fi horror that has to do with aliens, and I think it's focused on a relationship between these two women, and I feel like I've seen a lot of mixed feelings. Like people either love it or they hate it, but I feel like this will be pretty easy to get through in those 2.5 hours. It is just about 200 pages, and I feel like the font is pretty big, like it'll be easy to read. So this will likely be the last book for this video. I'm gonna read it. Hopefully I finish it before the timer goes off, but if not, I'll finish it anyway so I can give you guys my update, and then we'll come back and talk about everything that I was able to read. It is later the same night, but I just wanted to come at you guys because I have an update so far on The Seep. I am on page 55, chapter 5, and I am immediately like hooked. This book is weird, but like weird in the way that is absolutely so for me, like my type of weird so far, and I don't even really know what's going on. Basically, this takes place again in a future world that's kind of dystopian, like not really, it's like a dystopian utopia sort of thing where we have this like alien, I don't know, creature, being, entity that is referred to as the Seep that has invaded Earth, but it like affects people by making them like very happy and like blissful and feeling this like interconnectedness with like the world and with the people around them. And the main character that we're following, her name is Chana, and she is, I guess the Seep is like something that people can choose to partake in, and kind of like seems like they, I don't know, use it like a drug. And Chana is somebody that does not partake in this. She is not really a fan of the Seep and like the way that it has kind of affected society. The way she views it is that things like art and entertainment are no longer the same because everything that is being created in this period is stuff that is meant to be enjoyed under the influence of the Seep. So there's nothing that is new being created to be enjoyed organically, basically. And I feel like that's a very interesting perspective that we're getting with Chana. But she is married to another woman named Deba, I think. And Deba is somebody that does partake in the Seep. And I feel like it's so funny trying to explain this because there's like a lot of weird things so far happening. But when people use the Seep, I guess it allows them to kind of shape their reality and like shape their lives to a certain extent, and they can shape themselves and make themselves like how they truly want to be. So they have mentioned like people that have gone through transformations and like turned into animals and stuff, and Deba sees this video of a woman that transforms into a child, and she's like, I want to do that. I want to transform and go back to being a kid. And speaking to Chana, says, I want you to parent me through this transformation. And Trina's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And Deva's like, well, I'm gonna do it anyways. And kind of the last chapter we read was like building up to that moment, to that day that decision is made and Deba and Chana part lives. But it's really funny because then we go into part 2 of the book, and part 2 is just titled, So Your True Love Has Become a Baby. And that just made me giggle because it's like, I don't know, I feel like the book is like self-aware that it's weird and ridiculous at points. Like, it's kind of giving me that vibe of like the cool girl weird books and like stuff like Blob or Sky Daddy, like that came out this year. Like, I feel like, I don't know, it's just giving me the same vibe of those. But I have already tabbed a few things in here because I just really enjoy a lot of the writing and the setup for things and a lot of different ideas that are being presented throughout the story. Unfortunately, I feel like I would fall victim to the Seep because some of the stuff, like the people that are like high on the Seep, that are like talking knowledge, I'm like, yeah, like if somebody said that to me, they would get me. I'd be like, okay, what are you smoking? Like, let's go. I want some of that. And I would definitely fall into the Seep. So anyways, that was just like the basic setup to the story. Like I said, there's kind of a lot of things happening right now, but that's more so like we're getting background into like the world and what everything is and how it all functions. But now that Trina and Deba have split off, I don't know where the story's gonna go from here. I'm absolutely loving it so far. Like I said, it's just like the perfect type of weird sci-fi for me. At least that's how it feels right now. Like, I feel like I'm really gonna love this. It's been a very quick read, so I'm excited to continue on. Look who's here! It's Molly Cat. Molly Cat, say hi. She's very quiet, but she said she wanted to be in the video. I am now finished with the Seep. I actually didn't even need the full 2.5 hours, and I don't know how I did this. I perfectly ended the timer on 45 minutes when I finished the book. So obviously I'm not going to continue to read for those 45 minutes because first of all, I'm ready to be done with this video, but also like I'm not going to finish a book in 45 minutes, right? I think we've kind of accomplished the goal here. Anyways, as far as the Seep goes, I really enjoyed this one. I think it'll either be 4 or 4.5 stars as far as a final rating. Obviously, I want to wait and let it sink in a little bit, but I did really enjoy this. Like I said, it was like the perfect type of weird for me, and it's very light sci-fi. Like, it's more speculative fiction than it really is like science fiction, because you're not getting a lot of information about like how everything works and like the scientific side of things. You just know like the future world we're in, some of the strange and unique concepts that they have. I really enjoyed a lot of the themes that were explored in here. I think the big one overarching throughout the whole book is grief, and also transformation and death and acceptance of death and acceptance of transformation. Obviously it talks about life and humanity, what it truly means to be a human, everything that comes with that, and I just really loved the exploration of a lot of those topics. I loved the writing in here. I love the way that the story wrapped up. Overall, it was just a very enjoyable read, and I thoroughly enjoyed every second. I don't know, it doesn't feel like a 5-star to me, but it was very enjoyable, and I would not hesitate to recommend this. If you like vaguely weird things and you enjoy those themes, mostly about grief and about humanity, then I think you could really enjoy this one, and it's a pretty quick read, so like what is there to lose, right? So to finish this off, I wanted to grab my handy dandy notebook and look at what we accomplished in this video. So first and foremost, I know I haven't mentioned it a lot throughout the video, but this is part of my like physical TBR takedown. So if you don't know, I started with 50 books on my physical TBR and I wanted to get that down to 30. So I have done 2 other reading vlogs reading from my physical TBR. This is the 3rd one. When I started this particular video, I had 45 books on my physical TBR, and I was able to complete 7 in the video, which brings us down to 38. My goal is to get that down to 30 before I buy any more physical TBR books. So we are doing really good so far. I'm so proud of like my progress. So in the first half of the video, where I was just reading in a normal 24-hour period, I had work that day, and then I also had work the next day, so I couldn't stay up super late, but I still ended up reading 220 pages of the Book of Doors, and I feel like that is really good. Honestly, a little bit more than I normally do, but kind of on track for just a normal reading day in my life. For the second half of the video with the 24-hour timer, I was able to complete 6 books, which totaled 1,746 pages. And when we do the math there, that comes out to 72 3/4 pages per hour that I can read, which I feel like is on track. Obviously, it depends on the book. I would say like normally, average for me, I can do anywhere between 60 to 100 pages per hour, depending on the genre, the complexity of the text, how dense it all is. For example, like a thriller or a romance, I can read a lot quicker, and so that would probably be between the 80 and 100 page per hour mark. Something that requires a little bit more brain power is probably going to be about 60 pages per hour. So to do a little recap of everything that I read throughout this video, I started off reading the Book of Doors, which I gave 4.5 stars. Then I read Killer on the Road and gave that 4 stars. Then I read Kill for Me, Kill for You, which I gave 4.5 stars again. Then I read Blood on Her Tongue, which I gave 4 stars, and like I was riding a high. Like these were all great books. And then I read Bones and All, and that brought it down a little bit. I gave that one 2.5 stars, followed by Upgrade, which I gave 3 stars, and then ending on the Seep, which like I said will be between 4 or 4.5. And that is everything that I have for this video and this kind of experiment. It was really, really fun to film. If you are watching still, if you've made it this far, comment down below. Let me know if you have read any of these books, and let me know if you have similar feelings to me. With all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you guys next time.